Now, our feature presentation.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Wealth Management Advisory Club meeting. But welcome to Chapter 6 of our WMA Spring Break Workshop Spectacular. Maybe wondering, why do I have a night light? First of all, my light actually blew a fuse, so I have to get that bulb fixed. So again, you're probably going to see for the next couple chapters that I'm going to be having this on my face. If anyone's wondering what it is, I will just show you. It is basically a little night light that I got for like $5 at Five Below. So let's plug this back in to make sure you guys can see me. Today chapter is going to be about asset protection. So if you guys are ready, I'm most certainly ready. Let's get this party started, baby. And happy Wednesday to you all. Here we go. Let's get this fired up here and make sure I got my notes here. All right. Here we go. Chapter 6. All right. So today we're going to talk about what is asset protection. Why is it important? We're also going to talk about the common risks to your assets. We're also going to the 6 asset protection strategies. So incorporation, LLC formation, the asset transfer, gifting, the trust and estate planning, insurance policies, and the homestead exemptions, and also about offshore accounts and entities. So let's talk about first, what is asset protection? Well, asset protection refers to a set of legal strategies and techniques designed to protect an individual's assets from potential risks such as lawsuits, creditors, and other financial threats. The goal of asset protection is to safeguard an individual's wealth and assets and to ensure that they are not lost or significantly diminished due to unexpected events. So why should we even care about asset protection? Well, asset protection is important for several reasons. First, it can help protect an individual's hard-earned wealth and assets from potential legal judgments, creditors, and other financial risks. This is especially important for individuals who are engaged in high-risk professions or business activities. Second, asset protection can help individuals safeguard their assets in the event of a divorce or family disputes. By taking proactive steps to protect their assets, individuals can avoid the risk of losing a significant portion of their wealth in a divorce settlement or other family legal disputes. Third, asset protection is important for estate planning purposes. By protecting their assets, individuals can ensure that their wealth is transferred to their intended beneficiaries and not lost due to taxes, probate costs, or other legal fees. And in summary, asset protection is important because it helps individuals safeguard their wealth and assets from potential financial risks, and ensures that their hard-earned wealth is passed on to the intended beneficiary. If you want to learn about that, go to, I believe we did talk about estate planning during our mega workshop, so go and watch that to learn a little bit more about that. So let's talk about now the common risks to your assets. So there are 5 of them. I'm going to go over all of them in depth. Lawsuits and legal judgments. One of the most common risks to an individual's assets is lawsuits and legal judgments. Asset protection strategies such as setting up a separate legal entity, transferring assets to a trust, and maintaining proper corporation formalities can help shield an individual's personal assets from legal judgments. Creditors and debit collectors. Another common risk is simple: creditors and debit collectors. Asset protection strategies such as homestead exemptions and offshore accounts, which I'll talk about a little bit about later in the presentation, in this workshop, can help protect an individual's assets from creditors and debit collectors. Business liabilities, or individuals who own a business, are exposed to a variety of liabilities. Asset protection strategies such as incorporation and LLC formation can help protect an individual's personal assets from business liabilities. Divorce and family disputes. Divorce and family disputes can lead to the loss of a significant portion of an individual's assets. Asset protection strategies such as prenuptial agreements, like those prenups you've been hearing about a lot. I think mostly, our generation is doing that. And believe me, if I get married, I am never doing a prenup ever because I have trust. That's just me saying that, but everyone else has their own opinion. Asset protection strategies such as prenup agreements, trust, and gifting can help protect an individual's assets in the event of a divorce or a family dispute. And finally, identity theft and fraud. As identity theft and fraud can result in the loss of an individual's asset. Asset protection strategies such as monitoring credit reports. So if you want to check that out, go to Chapter 5. We talked about how to maintain and build a FICO score as a way to monitoring your credit reports. Use secure passwords and obtaining identity theft insurance can help protect an individual's assets from identity theft and fraud. All right, now we're going to talk about the asset protection strategies. I already talked about them in the beginning of this workshop, and we're going to go over all 6 of these from start to end. The first one being incorporation and LLC formation. So basically, there are 4 things that go into incorporation and LLC formation. And these are basically some of the strategy required to it. Setting up a separate legal entity. One of the most common ways to protect personal assets from business liabilities is to set up a separate legal entity, such as a corporation or an LLC or a limited liability company. By setting up a separate legal entity, the personal assets of the owners are protected from the business liabilities. In the event that the business incurs debts or legal liabilities, the personal assets of the owners are shielded from those liabilities, shielding personal assets from lawsuits and legal judgments. Another benefit of setting up a separate legal entity is that it can help shield personal assets from lawsuits and legal judgments related to the business. The liability is limited to the assets of the business and not the personal assets of the owners. And also, and finally, maintaining proper corporate formalities. It is important to maintain proper corporate formalities such as holding regular meetings, keeping accurate records, and complying with all relevant regulation law. Like, for example, we hold weekly meetings every Tuesdays and Thursdays at FDU Silberman. As an example of maintaining proper corporate formalities. Be able to tie that in there with our club. Failure to do so can result in the piercing the corporation veil, which means that the personal assets of the owner can be at risk in the event of a lawsuit or a legal judgment. Let's now talk about asset transfer giving. I know we talked about wealth transferring, and I know we talked a little bit about gifting during our mega workshops, but I'm going to touch now more heavily on now asset transfer, not more towards wealth. If you want to hear about that, go to our mega workshops. I talked about wealth transfer in that workshop. So basically, there's some points to consider when doing asset transfer. And basically, there are strategies that can be used to protect your assets from various risks while also reducing your taxable estate. So let's first talk about the strategies, things to keep in mind. Transferring your assets to family members or trusts. Transferring assets to family members or trusts can help protect your assets from your creditors and legal judgments. This strategy involves transferring ownership of assets to a family member or a trust that you can control. Gifting assets to reduce your taxable estate. Giving assets can actually help reduce your taxable estate and minimize the impact of the estate taxes. The IRS, your internal revenue source, obviously, for anyone who doesn't know what IRS does mean, allows you to gift up to a certain amount each year to individual trusts without incurring gift taxes. Protecting assets from creditors and legal judgments. I already talked about this, but just to go more in depth about this, however, it is important to understand the rules and limitations of asset transfer and to work with a qualified professional to ensure that you are in compliance with the law. And then also to understand the rules and limitations of asset transfer. Asset transfer gifting involve complex rules and limitations, and it's important to work with a qualified professional who can provide guidance on the legal and tax implications of these strategies. Let's not talk about trust and estate planning. I know we're not talking about estate, like real estate. We're not talking about that. We're talking about estate. Like, you watched our estate planning workshop, which you go to our YouTube page and watch that after this. So, trust and estate planning can be an effective asset protection strategy, and here's some key points to consider. Setting up the trust, obviously, that's the biggest one of them all. I'm sorry, I'll look at my phone for something. I'm sorry. A trust, if everyone does not know, if anyone's want to go back to our thing, I don't know which workshop it was, but for anyone who needs a refresher, a trust is a legal arrangement where a trustee holds the assets on behalf of a beneficiary. One of the main benefits of setting a trust is that it can protect assets from creditors and legal judgments. The assets are owned by the trust rather than the individual and are managed by the trustee according to the terms of the trust agreement. Establishing a comprehensive estate plan. Now, obviously, I already talked about estate planning, and I'm not going to go heavily in depth on it because, again, if you want to hear that more in depth, go to our estate planning workshops we did with our Mega Workshops meeting, and you can watch all of that. As I explained, estate planning go in depth. I will, though, talk about reducing estate taxes and probate causes and protecting assets for future generations. Estate taxes can be a significant expense, and probate can be a time-consuming and costly process. Proper estate planning can help reduce these expenses and ensure that the assets are distributed according to the individual's wishes. And then finally, protecting assets for future generations. Trust can also be used to protect assets for future generations. For example, a trust can be set up to provide for the education support of their grandchildren and other beneficiaries. By establishing a trust, the assets are protected from creditors and legal judgments, and the trustees can manage the assets on the beneficiary's behalf. So let's talk about now insurance policies. Yes, we're talking about the policies of insurance. And there's 4 types of insurance policy you can get. There's liability, property and casualty, disability, and life insurance. And I believe everyone will probably have to get 3 out of the 4. Most likely 3 out of the 4. So here are the key types of policies to consider. We first want to talk about liability insurance. Liability insurance protects any personal and business risks, such as lawsuits or legal judgments. Personal liability insurance can protect against claims relevant to the personal injury, property damage, or negligence. Business liability insurance can protect against claims related to the professional liability, product liability, or general liability as itself. Let's now talk about property and casualty insurance. Property casualty insurance protects physical assets, such as, for example, homes, cars, and businesses against loss or damages due to fire, theft, or natural disasters. This type of insurance can also protect liability claims related to property damages or personal injury. Disability insurance. Disability insurance provides income protection in the event that an individual is unable to work due to illness or injury. This type of insurance can help replace lost income and cover expenses during a period of disability. And then finally, life insurance. I think everyone needs to get life insurance in their life. You're probably going to have to get it. Life insurance can be served a variety of purposes, really wealth transfer, which and estate plan, which you want to learn about those, go to our Mega Workshops meeting and you hear about both of those in depth. For example, life insurance can be used to provide for loved ones after individual's death, pay estate taxes, or fund a trust. All right, let's talk about homestead exemptions. We're not going to talk about the homestead like the farm. We're talking about homestead exemptions, just to clarify that. All right, so there's three things you need to consider. And basically, for everyone's not knowing what homestead exemption is, it's basically a form of asset protection, provides protection for an individual's primary residence from creditors and legal judgments. Here's some key points to consider. Protection for primary residence. Homestead exemptions provide protection for an individual's primary residence, which is typically defined as the home where the individual lives for most of the year. So, for example, you know, back when you guys were back in high school, you guys lived with your parents. That basically would be your primary residence because you guys would live there for a full calendar year. On the other hand, if you go to college, then most likely your dorm would be the primary residence because you'll be staying there for probably 10 months. Most likely. And if you think about it, seems kind of true, if you know what I mean. So, the exemption can provide protection against creditors and legal judges up to a certain dollar amount. They also have rules and limitations. Homestead exemptions are subject to rules and limitations, which can vary between state. And believe me, I do not have the one from New Jersey, so please go look them up on your own time. I am not going to give you guys legal advice. We're just the club, just to put that there. So, for example, some states have a dollar limit on the exemption, like we talked about earlier, while others may have a limit on the amount of accreditation. I apologize if I pronounced that wrong. Accreditation that can be exempt. In addition, some states require the individual resides in the home for a certain period of time before the exemption can be claimed. And then finally, state-specific regulation. Homestead exemptions are governed by the law and regulation, and requirements vary by state. It is important to work with a qualified professional to understand the regulations and requirements in your state and ensure that you're in compliance with the law. All right, let's talk about offshore accounts and NEC. Offshore, not on land. Get it? If you got the joke, pat yourself on the back for that one. So offshore accounts and entities are a strategy for asset protection that involves setting up bank accounts and legal entities in foreign countries. As an example, I hate that I have to use this example, but if anyone does remember the movie The Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort got offshore accounts in Swiss bank accounts. As an example, I highly suggest not do that. But again, as an example. Be able to tie that in with this. So let's talk about some of the key points considered. Setting up the offshore accounts and their entities. Setting up offshore accounts and entities typically involve working with the qualified professional who can help navigate the legal and regulatory requirements of foreign jurisdiction. This may include setting up a foreign bank account or establishing a legal entity such as an offshore corporation, trust, or a partnership. Benefits and risks. Offshore asset protection provides benefits such as increased privacy, protection from legal judgments, and tax advantages. However, there are also risks associated with offshore asset protection, such as increased regulatory scrutiny and the potential for financial fraud or money laundering. Legal and tax implications. Offshore asset protection involves legal and tax implications, and it's important to work with a qualified professional to ensure compliance with domestic and foreign regulations. For example, the IRS requires U.S. taxpayers to report foreign financial accounts and assets on their tax returns and to comply with reporting. Believe me, I I learned that when I did my tax internship at Witham. Trust me, I learned that the hard way while doing a tax return. So, okay. And then finally, compliance with foreign regulations and reporting requirements. Offshore asset protection requires compliance with foreign regulations and reporting requirements, which varies by jurisdiction. It's important to work with a qualified professional to provide guidance on compliance and reporting requirements. So, to sum this up, in conclusion of what we just talked about today, in conclusion, asset protection is a crucial aspect of financial planning that can help you protect your hard-earned assets from various risks, such as lawsuits, legal judgments, business liabilities, and identity theft, like I talked about earlier ago. There are various strategies and techniques that we just talked about, including incorporation, LLC formation, trusted estate planning, insurance policies, homestead exemptions, and offshore accounts and entities. It is important to consult with a qualified professional who can help you choose the best asset protection strategy for your unique situation. A professional can also navigate the legal and regulatory requirements associated with each strategy, ensuring that you are in compliance with the law and minimizing the risk associated with asset protection. By taking a proactive approach to asset protection, you can safeguard your assets and ensure that your hard work and financial security are protected for the long term. And that is it for chapter number 6. We have now hit the halfway mark of our spring break workshop spectacular, but don't worry, we have 6 more chapters left in this, so do not worry. So the next time I'll see you guys all tomorrow, which will be Thursday, it will be retirement planning and saving up for retirement workshop. See, we didn't forget here. We were going to do that. So trust me, we were going to do that. So with that being said, please leave a like, comment, subscribe to our channel. If you have any meeting ideas, please leave them down in the comment section below. And that is it from us. Enjoy your Wednesday. We will see you all tomorrow for chapter 7 of our spring break workshop spectacular. Until next time, the checkers like so long. Have a great rest of your evening. Bye-bye.